Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn how to make this dress. We already have a tutorial of the stitch on its own, and then we also made a maxi skirt out of that particular stitch. As you can see here it was matched with the Apricity crochet top, which already has a tutorial as well as a written pattern. So we have a pattern for the skirt, the top, and now the dress that we are going to learn how to make in this video. This is a Pinterest inspired look. And if you would like to try out the other designs, please check the links in the description box below. So let's jump into the materials. So for the project, we shall need a measuring tape, definitely. And then a crochet hook, which is 5mm. And then a darning needle, a pair of scissors. And the yarn that we are using is Winterking. It's a 4-ply acrylic yarn. And I used about 10 balls to complete the whole project. And each ball of this is 150 yards. So let's get started. For the purposes of demonstration of the stitch, I will be using the orange color so that we can see exactly what's taking place. And the moment you get the hang of the stitch, we shall switch onto the actual piece, which is black. That's the order that I received. And yeah, later on in the video, I'll be introducing the actual piece and you'll be seeing how everything works out. So you're going to get your crochet hook and start off with a slip knot. And we're going to make a chain. This chain should be a multiple of 3 plus 5 chains and should be half your hip measurements. Since we are working the dress in 2 panels, that means we have to do 2 pieces that will be later joined to form the dress. So we are considering half the hip measurement, and the hip measurement that I'm considering for this skirt is 40 inches. That means each panel should be a length of 40 divided by 2, 20 inches. So you're going to make a chain, a multiple of 3 plus 5, but that chain should be 20 inches, which is half our hip measurement. I've started with a chain of 71, and this measures half of the hip measurement, the hip circumference that we are considering, when slightly stretched. As you can see, when it's not stretched, it goes to 17.5 inches, but when slightly stretched, it can go to 20 inches. And when fully stretched, it goes beyond 20 inches. It's around 22 inches. So get a chain that, when slightly stretched, can get to half your hip measurement. And now we're going to start working the stitch. Now you're going to go into the 8th chain from the hook. So you're going to count from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and into the 8th chain you're going to place a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So from here you're going to make a chain of 2, skip over 2 stitches, 2 chain stitches, 2 chains, and then you're going to go into the next chain with a double crochet. So the double crochet that we are using for this tutorial is in the US terms. So chain 2, skip over 2 chains, and double crochet into the next chain. Chain 2, yarn over, skip over 2 stitches, and double crochet into the next chain. So this is going to create a mesh pattern. You're going to repeat this all the way across until you have a total of 3 chains left on your row, and I'll show you what to do from there. right, now we have a total of 3 chains left on our row. You're going to make a chain of 2, skip over 2 chains, and then double crochet into the very last chain. So that marks the end of our mesh row. So let's go on to the next row. Row 2 is make a chain of 3, which counts as our very first double crochet. Turn your work, and then you're going to place 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and then 1 double crochet into the next double crochet, and then 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, 1 double crochet into the next double crochet, and we're going to repeat this all the way across. All right, we are almost coming to the end of the row, and we are still placing 2 double crochets in each chain 2 space and 1 double crochet in each double crochet. So when you have 1 space left, which is this one, you're going to go into that space with 2 double crochets, and then counting from the base, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and into the 5th chain you're going to place 1 double crochet on the edge, just like that. So that marks the end of row 2. Now we're going to go back to the mesh row, and you're going to start off with a chain of 5, which counts as a double crochet chain 2, and then turn your work. When you turn your work, you're going to skip over the next. This chain 5 is attached to the very first stitch, so you're going to skip over the next 2 stitches, and then into the next you're going to place a double crochet, and then chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next. So you're going to repeat this all the way across. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next. So you're going to continue until you have a total of 3 stitches left on your row, and keep in mind that the edge chain 3, the starting chain 3, counts as a stitch. So we have 1, 2, and the chain 3 on the edge of the row. So you're going to make a chain of 2, skip over the 2 stitches, and on top of the chain 3 you're going to place 1 double crochet, and that marks the end of row 3. So basically we are repeating 2 rows. We are going to repeat row 2 and 3, 2 and 3, until we get the length of the panel that we want. So that means row 4 is going to be the same as row 2, and that means even rows are the same and odd rows are the same. The odd rows are the ones that create the mesh pattern, and the even rows are the ones that create the block pattern, which is made of double crochet stitches all the way across. And then the other thing that you have to note, you're going to make a chain of 3 and turn your work. So when you're placing these double crochets, you place them into the space. You don't go into the chains. You just go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochets, just like that, and then go into the next stitch with a double crochet. I had to point out that because some people may go into the chains. So you just go into the spaces with 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3, 2 and 3, the mesh row and the block row, the mesh row and the block row, until you get to your hip bones, or just where you want your skirt to end. We are working this skirt from the base, from the feet all the way up, so you're going to get the length of the skirt that you want. If you want a short one, you can go ahead and do that. If you want a long one, you can go ahead and do that. So do as many rows as you require to get the length you want, and make sure you end on a row of double crochet stitches. All right guys, I ended up doing a total of 76 rows first panel. Remember, we are working 2 panels for our dress, and I ended on a row of block stitches, the one of double crochets without the mesh pattern. And from here you're going to make a chain of 1. I've already made a chain of 1, and you're going to cut your yarn. So let's see what we have. We have a length like this, so this is all the way from the feet to your underbust level. So just make sure you have this. Do the number of rows you require for your particular height, from your feet all the way to your underbust level. So you're going to repeat the same exact process for your second panel. As you can see, I have 2 panels here. I have this one and this one. They are 2 identical panels, as you can see here. And now we are going to put everything together. So we're going to get one of the panels and put it on top of the second panel, just like this, and make sure everything is aligned. And we're going to join the sides of the 2 panels. So when you finish your second panel, don't cut your yarn, just leave it attached. We're going to use that tail to join the 2 panels on the side. All right, so the way that we are going to do this, we're going to go into each and every row, placing 2 single crochets. So go into the very first row on each panel and place 2 single crochets, and then go into the next row, which is the mesh row, and place 2 single crochets, and repeat that all the way down. Two single crochets in each and every row, attaching the panels together. So I've just placed my very last 2 single crochets in the last mesh row at the base of the skirt, and from here you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, pull through, and then we have 2 loose ends here, so you can just decide to tie them and get rid of them, just like this. So let's see the right side of the work. You should be having something very neat. You can see that the seam line is almost invisible. It's here, and it looks very neat and blends into the pattern very well. So we are now going to put our work back onto the wrong side, and we are going to join the opposite side, which is the second seam line, all the way from up here down to the feet here. So grab your yarn and you're going to start off with the very first row. Attach your yarn, and you're going to still make 2 single crochets in each and every row all the way down. Alright guys, we're done with joining the second side, and you should be having a tube-like structure. Now after this, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn and get rid of the loose ends, either by tying them or weaving them in using a darning needle. Okay, so you're going to turn your dress onto the right side. The side where you've worked the single crochet row is the wrong side. We don't want to see this seam line. So you're going to just flip it over and turn it onto the right side so that we don't see the seam line. We shall see it, it's somewhere here. But it will be much neater on the right side of the dress, as you can see in the image. Okay. So this is what you're going to have. So 76 rows, both for the front panel and the back panel, and you should make sure that the length is right from your feet all the way up to your underbust. So when you get to your underbust level, you should end on a row that is block, not the mesh row, the block row. And now we are going to do some shaping. You're going to grab your yarn. We're going to do some little shaping to create a halter kind of shaping at the top of the dress. So you're going to grab your yarn, and this shaping is only going to be on one panel, which is the front panel. The back panel is going to end at this level. The front panel is going to be shaped a little bit to be extended a little bit longer than the back panel. So you're going to attach your yarn so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous row. So whichever panel that you choose to be the front panel, just make sure you attach your yarn so that you're working in the opposite direction of the previous row. So into that very first stitch. And now you're going to make a chain of 3, skip over 2 stitches, and 1 double crochet into the next. And then we are going to go back to chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next. So from now onwards, you're just going to make a chain of 2, skip over 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next. So we're back to the original pattern. Continue doing that until you have 3 stitches left on your row, and I'll show you what to do next. So we are chaining 2, skipping 2 stitches, and 1 double crocheting into the next stitch. So repeat this until you get to the opposite seam line at the end of your panel. Until you have only 3 stitches left to finish up your front panel. So you can see the mesh pattern is back. All right, so we're coming towards the end of the row, and I have 1, 2 and the chain 3 on the edge. So I'll just skip over. After your double crochet here, don't make a chain of 2 after that. When you have 3 stitches left, you're going to just skip over 2 stitches, and on top of the next stitch, which is the chain 3, you're going to just go in there with a double crochet, and that way we have created a slant. We've created a decrease. So this is row 1 of the decreases. Now we're going on to row 2, and row 2 is going to basically be the block row, the one of double crochet stitches without the mesh pattern. So you're going to make a chain of 3, turn your work, after turning your work, you're going to skip over the next double crochet, skip over the chain 2 space, skip over the next double crochet, and into the next chain 2 space. So skipping all this, and into the next space you're going to place 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So you can see how the decreases are behaving. All right, so we're almost coming to the end of the row, and you can see we have this chain 2 space and this one, and we want only 1 chain 2 space. So after placing 2 double crochets in your second last chain 2 space, and you have this chain 3 plus the chain 2 here, you're going to skip over the next double crochet, skip over the chain 2 space, skip over the next double crochet, and you're going to place 1 double crochet on top of the chain 3 on the edge of the row. That's how we decrease this stitch. So you can see we have the same exact thing going on at this point. So we're going to go back to the mesh pattern. You're going to make a chain of 3, turn your work, and then you're going to skip over 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then into the next stitch you're going to place a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, double crochet into the next, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and 1 double crochet into the next, and repeat that all the way across until you have 3 stitches left. Remember, the chain 3 at the beginning of the row counts as a stitch. So when you have 3 stitches left on your row, I'll show you what to do next. Chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next. So you can see how the shaping is being worked on. All right, so we have 3 stitches left, and the stitches we are considering are this one, and the chain 3. So once you place your double crochet here, you're going to prepare for a double crochet by yarning over, skip over 2 stitches, and into the top of the last chain 3 you're going to place a double crochet there. So I'm going to repeat row 2 of the decreases. So make a chain of 3, turn my work, skip over the next double crochet, skip over the next chain 2 space, skip over the next double crochet, and then into the space you're going to place 2 double crochets. So let me go ahead and double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, and go all the way across until you have 1 chain 2 space left on your row. All right, so when we have one chain 2 space left on your row, after placing 2 double crochets into the second last chain 2 space of the row, you're going to prepare for a double crochet by yarning over, skip over the next double crochet, skip over the chain 2 space, skip over the double crochet, and you're going to place a double crochet on top of the chain 3 on the edge of the row. All right, so we've done our 4 rows of decrease, and you can see how the halter shape has been achieved. Now we are going to do 2 more rows of no decrease. So we are going to start off with a mesh row, which starts with a chain of 5, and that chain of 5 counts as a double crochet chain 2. Turn your work, skip over 2 stitches and 1 double crochet into the next, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, 1 double crochet into the next. We're going to continue with our mesh pattern until we have 3 stitches left, and I'll show you how to wind up. All right, now this time when you have 3 stitches left, you're going to make a chain of 2, skip over the 2 stitches, and then 1 double crochet on top of the chain 3 on the edge. This time we're not going to decrease, that's why we've chained 2 here, and at the beginning we made a chain of 5 instead of a chain of 3. So we are going back to the plain rows. So for the next row, you're going to make a chain of 3, turn your work, and you're going to make 2 double crochets into the very first chain 2 space, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, 2 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to repeat this all the way across. All right, so we're coming to the end of the row and we have only 1 space left, which is the chain 5 space. And I'm going to first place a double crochet into this double crochet here, and then 2 double crochets into the chain 5 space, and then 1 double crochet into the 3rd chain of the chain 5, counting from the base. So into the 3rd chain you're going to place a double crochet, and that marks the end of the front shaping of our dress. Okay, so remember I told you that this shaping will only be at the front of the dress. At this point I am done. You can go ahead and do more rows if you wish, but I'm not going to do this because this length is just enough. Okay guys, so after your last stitch, you're going to just make a chain of 50. This will depend on how long you want your straps to be. Just try on the dress and make sure you get the right length of the strap for yourself. Okay, so I did a total of 50 chains, and I'm going to attach it at the back of the dress. So you're going to determine where this line is almost in the same line as the back panel. So I'm going to just put into the 18th stitch of the back panel, just like that. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and I'm going to go back on my strap using a slip stitch. So I'm going to go into each and every chain with 1 slip stitch just to make it a little bit firm. This is going to make your strap a little bit more firm and functional. So it's becoming thicker. So go all the way across the strap, placing 1 slip stitch into each chain. All right, so we've come to the end of the chain, and now I'm going to work all the way across the top of the dress, slip stitching into each and every double crochet stitch. This is more like cleaning up the edges of the dress as well. So just make one slip stitch into each and every double crochet across the top of the front panel of the dress until you get to the next corner, which is supposed to get the second strap. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the row, and when you place a slip stitch into the very last stitch, which should be the chain 3 at the beginning of the row, after placing a slip stitch there, you're going to make your chain of 50 again, just like we did for this strap here. You can see how thick it is and more reliable it is than the very first chain. So you're going to make a chain of 50, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then I'm going to count to the 18th stitch of the back panel, just like I did here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And I'm going to place a slip stitch into the 18th stitch of the back panel, slip stitch into the next stitch, and then now we're going to start going back onto the chain of the strap, placing one slip stitch into each and every chain to make the strap a little bit more sturdy. So go all the way across until you get back here, and I'll meet you back at that point. You make it back to the beginning of the strap. You're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, and then you're going to pull through. Now the next part that we are going to do is to weave in all our tails. So your dress will basically look like this. The longer part is the front panel, and then the shorter part is the back panel. So you're going to get your darning needle and weave in all your ends, and this is what you'll get in the end. This is the final look of the dress that we made on my dummy. You can see the fitting is so good. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out is you can gather a little part of the waist area at the back so that you get a perfect fitting for your dress, especially around the waistline. And yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed making this tutorial with me, and I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to check out the written pattern, and thanks for watching. Bye.